Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're going to be doing some regular puzzles. Not Puzzle Rush, but just normal, slow, steady puzzles. Now, I haven't seen anyone do this in quite a while. I think the last time I saw someone do puzzles was Danny Wrench in a really, really old chess.com video. So let's give this a try and see how it goes. So I'm going to do my best to explain the puzzles as in-depth as I can, but as we'll probably see, I'm not going to understand most of the puzzles entirely, and it's going to be a lot of sketchy guessing. So let's look at this first puzzle. So I just made this move back to h4, attacking the bishop, so threatening to take and also take this pawn. So the first thing I notice is this knight can capture on c2, potentially. So a logical plan would be to try to set up some sort of knight to c2 tactic. Now knight g3 is a move, but the problem is black, I think white can throw in a check on b5. And that could make it so that we don't win a lot of material. And I also see knight to c3, and the nice thing about this move is it covers this b5 square. And additionally, we're not taking on c2 just to win the rook. It's also almost checkmate, so the white queen's going to have to take, and then we can take the queen. So I think this is going to be knight to c3 because it also covers the e2 square, so no matter where the queen goes, the king's still going to be stuck. So it is knight to c3, and then we take the queen. Okay, that was pretty good. Let's go on to the next puzzle. This is a check. So puzzles that start with checks are always pretty nasty because you basically have a few options and they all basically look the same. So for these, most of the time you'll want to use process of elimination. So it's probably not going to be blocking with the bishop because that just or is it? It's also very difficult to eliminate puzzles, eliminate options because bishop c2. It looks like it just hangs the bishop, but you actually get the rook if you do that. So you can't entirely rule that out. Now you can rule out knight to c2 because white just has rook to c2. So we gotta look at bishop c2. We also gotta look at king to b6. So bishop c2, king e8. We have to find a logical next move after that. So there is bishop c5, and also notice that black is up two pieces. So as long as black can keep at least one of the pieces, it should be good enough. Okay, so first of all, what's wrong with moving the king? Because that's the obvious move. Well, I can take the bishop, and so black's rooks aren't very developed, so I'm not exactly sure how good that position would be, moving the bishop to maybe d5. And also, there's this knight to d5 check, which I actually don't really want to allow at all because they're going to be taking on c7 stuff like that. So bishop c5 does not look that good because of takes knight d5 and knight c7. So I think we do have to play bishop c2. um, so what does this do? It stops the check. This knight's actually stuck. So if we put bishop c5 here, I think we're just about saving all the pieces, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it looks good. Okay, so it just takes and takes. Okay, there we go. So I think if black plays b4 here, trying to dislodge the bishop, then I think the move is check, and then removing the defender of the rook. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so this king's in the middle, two rooks. Rooks are good for checkmating. Let's see if we can find a forced checkmate. So the first obvious move is a check. I'm very confident that's the first move, but let's just try to calculate to the end. So check, check. Next obvious move is check. King goes to c6, and now we're going to want to cut off this b5 square. And I think we can do that with this move a6. And then after that, we're threatening rook to d6. The only way for black to stop that is rook to d5, but then rook to c4 is going to be a check. And if the rook moves anywhere else, we still respond with rook to c4. So I think that's good enough for this one. Check, there we go. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, bishop. Bishop takes on e6. This is a pin. It's got the material, equal material, but we do have a pawn here. We have a nice juicer. So let's see if we can promote this somehow. Queen to h2 is a very, very interesting move. It's very interesting because if black takes, we can promote, and then we can actually take this because we have a fork. However, white does not have to take. I can just play rook to d1 or something, putting more pressure on this rook. Okay, this is a very tricky one. So just because there's so much happening, there's also this check. Okay, so another move I can do is sacking the rook, but I need something clear after that because there are just threats. So takes. This is not gonna work. Um, okay, queen h2. He can just take with check. So I think the most logical move would be to take on e6, and then look for something forcing after that. Okay, but the problem is all these checks over here, so it's hard to find something after sack the rook. Okay, let's try it. It is correct. Very. So this is what I mean by the sketchy guessing. Um, Obviously you wouldn't want to do this in a game, and puzzles are very different from games because in a game, if you have a tactic, um, you don't, you're not going to know that you have a puzzle. And with puzzles, like you can make these sacrifices because you know it's a puzzle. Uh, so now there's a check we got to look out for. Also, this pawn is threatened. Also, queen a6. Okay, but now this threat is maybe something we need to look for. It's definitely going to be have something to do with this pawn. Ooh, what about queen b5? Queen b5, I think it's okay. So it covers c6, covers a6, and it steps out of this check, and also creates a threat of promotion, which is actually not so easy to stop because there is this um, pressure on b2. So it's white can't use the queen, and after this check, king can just step up. Oh, but stepping up runs into queen to g3 check. So, but we can step up to b7 instead to sidestep that. And then queen to b3 is going to pin the queen, um, which is kind of annoying because now we can't promote because the queen is pinned. If we trade queens, we gotta promote this pawn. The rook's gonna be here. Is rook to d2 good enough? Probably not because there's a check which would pick up the bishop. So queen to b5 check. Can we block with the rook? Can we block with the rook? I didn't look at this because it opens up the king after takes and takes, but the queen actually does not have a check on d3, and rook to d3 is probably inconsequential because we just moved back. So I think that solves all of our problems. Still, this pressure on b2. Queen can't really move. Okay, so let's go for this. I think we should block with the rook, and there we go. Okay, and probably important where we go with the king. Can't go here because check back with the bishop still guards b2. Here still wants the queen g3, so queen to c8, and now finally, um, we can make our queen because queen to g8 check, we just drop all the way back. There we go. Okay, so I think we'll do actually I'll show everything that I was talking about first, and then we'll probably do one more, and that's where I'll end the video, and then I have some more um vague announcements too. So if bishop takes e6, rook takes and takes, and yeah, queen b5 just creates this threat. Rook to d2 does not work because of this check, and then I would have to trade. Queen to h2 looks good, but it doesn't really do anything. White doesn't have to take; it can just check, and then this is going to result in some bad things. After queen to b5, I'm just threatening f1 queen, and this rook is actually horribly placed because it can't go to f6 because of the bishop. Also cannot go to f8 because of the bishop. So we have the classic pentagon, which has an area of uh one, two, three squares. Okay. Anyways, rook also cannot go to e1 because of the pawn. So check, and then so king to b7 does not work because queen to b3 would be a pin. You cannot check because oopsie daisies, the queen is pinned, can't move. And king to c7 runs into this classic right triangle, diagonal queen check fork. So we don't want to allow that. So we have to block the rook, and the king gets lowered into the open. That's okay because queen to d3 is covered, and rook to d1, the king just slides back. Okay, so now let's go back. I think it's Control Shift Tab is going to take it back. There we go. Okay, let's do one more. King. Okay, so it's a queen pawn endgame. I'm down a piece. This is probably either going to be winning the queen or delivering a checkmate. Queen to f5 looks very, very attractive. King has to go to h5. We have queen. Oh, is this just a really easy one? Oh, wait. Here, check, h3, queen cannot block because of the pawn, king has to take. Um, I have some options of checks. Go to h6, and then the king steps up. I don't think that's going to be right. f6, king goes to f4. Queen is unprotected, so we should be looking for skewers. I do think it has to be queen to f5 because there's just no other logical check. Unless it's king to g6, threatening a checkmate like this, which actually is probably just correct. Yeah, I think it's just king g6. Okay, but why doesn't queen f5 check work? Well, check here takes. The king's just running away like this, and if you can't win the queen and can't checkmate, that's just not going to be enough. But king g6, funnily enough, both of these checks just run into f5, since there's this extra pawn here to support, is going to result in checkmate. So after queen to e5, we just check. That's going to be mate into. Okay, so I was not actually expecting to get all those right. Normally I just tilt through them and I just rush too much, but I think since I was recording a video, I was a little more careful calculating all the variations and deleting all sorts of counterplay. So, okay, nice. Those were pretty nice puzzles. And the announcements I was talking about is, you may have noticed, or maybe have not noticed, but I haven't uploaded in a while. That's because I'm quite busy with stuff like school and other things. And unfortunately, I don't like to make excuses. So, that's why I am uploading today and not waiting until next year. But I do actually have some ideas for future videos, and I'll leave some of those in the description, and you can comment if you have any other ideas. I would really, really appreciate those. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you hopefully in those other videos that I've planned.